Hey Marvel Strike Force, I'm coming today with a new video for Marvel Strike Force. This one is the 2025 Marvel Strike Force content update, and normally I'd be really excited about this. I'd be excited to see what they got for the future, what they're going to tell us. But I'm not, and let's talk about that. I'm not excited because they haven't addressed any of the problems that are going on right now. And I don't say this lightly, but I think the game might be in the worst shape I've ever seen it. And I don't say that lightly, and I feel like they're just ignoring it. This feels tone deaf. They didn't address it at all in this video. I've already watched this video. I still want to watch it with you guys and react with it and talk about it. But let's talk about the issues that I'm facing right now, and hopefully they relate to you too. Um, right now, I think the game is in the worst shape it's been, and the reason I say that is I have no interest to log in. Let's look at this week. We've got nothing going on. We don't have any events. We don't have any PvE to do. The PvE that we got this week was Old Man Logan for the 30th time. I don't even want to do this. I will do it because there's rewards in here that I want, but I don't think this is worth it. Like, it feels bad. I'm just being honest. And there's no events to do this week. Like, there's just nothing here. As far as G20, we got a whopping 2 orbs. We got a grand total of 8 pieces. 8 pieces when you need 75 per side per character on most characters. That feels complete. Like, why does this Race to X event go 14 days if we're just going to end it on the halfway through? Like, it was a 30-day event, and we have no G20 gear being given out on day 14, guys. There's so many things wrong with that. These trading super deals, like, I have no interest in this. I'm not buying it. It's not worth the money. I think your trading materials are overpriced. Even at this price point, they're overpriced. So, what does that take us? I don't want to log in this week. There's nothing to do. War feels horrible right now. War's not even fun to play. Crucible feels horrible right now. They're both not fun to play. This weekend, I have faced multiple Xaviers, and I've flat out said, if I lose this Xavier match, I'm just going to not open the game. And I did go 3-0. I beat my opponent, but we'll look at my last guy, and I'll show you what I did. I mean, he had Xavier on defense, and I literally threw random crap at it. And I'm not saying this is good, because I think it's absolutely terrible, by the way. And I threw random crap at it and then threw him an Illuminati. I said, if this works, great. If it doesn't, then I'm closing Crucible. And that was the state of my Crucible. I'm in Masters 3. I shouldn't feel that way about the game right now. And the reason I feel that way is because defense has no value. All of these rooms can be one-shot. And I got lucky. He couldn't clear my room 5. You guys are welcome to copy it. It's there. But I don't feel good about any of these rooms. And we've talked about that. There's not a single character that's intended for defense or intended to be on Crucible, anything. It's just random hodgepodge war characters. And that feels horrible. And war's no different. If we go into war is just the same thing. War is more of getting one shot. And the only thing that matters is who has more overpowered on the characters that matter. And it feels horrible. We've been losing war more than ever. I don't even know what to tell people because there's no defense that matters. The only room that even gets a win is the stupid, is this room right here. Everything else has no value. And I've tried different things. It just doesn't matter. When we have teams that like Silver Sable that just come in and instantly blow you up with overpower, it doesn't matter what's in these rooms because they're not overpowered. And that's just the state of the game. Like, it doesn't matter that I'm overpowered 10 because people are starting to have overpower 11. And overpower 9's even worse. Like, it just doesn't matter. And I'm not leveling these characters. Like, I'm not even interested in leveling characters right now. That's the state of the game. And I think that's terrible. They talk about war in this video, and I don't think anything that they talked about is going to fix me not enjoying overpowered. So, you know, that, and we'll watch that because I do want to pause at that point and talk about that. But my big issues right now is the fake economy that looks like they're changing in the background without telling us. Overpowered, which is ruining PvP. Defense feels non-existent right now. It feels like target dummies, and that's partially due to overpowered. The other one is five-man lock teams. When we have teams like Mighty Avengers, it just leaves zero chances to theory craft anything. It's even worse when you have things like the Vigilante team, where it's just straight up burst damage on the first turn. You know, when Silver Sable takes her first turn, takes all your buffs away, puts ability blocks on half the team. Like, there's nothing I can do to defend against that. We have no tanky characters that can survive that. And that's the problem. The other one is locked PvE content. And this one's a big one, guys, because that's the only fun I've had recently in the game. I'm sure some of you haven't even had that, which feels terrible. PvE content should not be locked. There should be different levels of PvE content so that everyone can enjoy it, but you should all get to experience the same amount of fun I get to experience. That's just what it should be. There shouldn't be Omega Dimensions 2 weeks before free-to-play even gets the character. Like, that's completely wrong. I mean, at that point, the game's not even a game, and that's just being honest. You guys should get the content too. And I'm so stuck on these issues. Like, it doesn't matter what they say for the future because these issues are the issues. None of that other stuff matters because if they don't address these, the game I don't think will have a game. I think that's how serious some of these issues are. But we digress. We're gonna jump on into the interview. Let's go watch that. Let's see what they say. Hopefully they say some nice things. We'll talk about them. We are going to speed it up because we've already gone 7 minutes before even starting the interview. So let's get her rolling. Let's go 1.5.
What are some game direction for Marvel Strike Force?
No,
you want to quickly start talking about ages and what we're thinking about there? I know we sort of set the goals, right, which is creating short-term, long-term chases for our players, making it so that players got great rewards from a lot of the core modes that they necessarily haven't been getting for some time, and then creating a seasonal shop, right? And the seasonal shops that we're thinking about are our chapter kind of stores, adding great variety in ways that we've never done before.
I'm nervous about the seasonal shop. The seasonal shop is, I think, not actually a seasonal shop. I think it is a way for them to reduce our rewards in the game. And the reason I say that is if they stop giving us this stuff for free in the events and they make us pay for it in the seasonal shop with the currency, we are now trading what we used to get for G20 pieces. So we will be getting less G19, less purple ISO, less purple ions, less T4s, less training mats, less gold for G20. Or you're ignoring G20. Either way, you're behind because you're not progressing. Because you're now purchasing the things that you used to be getting for free.
And giving the players more agency and choice, but also giving them things that I think they really, really want. And I know we learned a lot from some of the little shops that we've done, but ages is one of the things I'm really excited for this year. And you want to talk a little bit about kind of what you might be excited for with ages?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, the next age coming up is Age of Annihilus, and it's a really big narrative beat for us. I haven't felt like we've had as much of a strong story presence in the game as I would like to have, as I'm sure.
I hope that they do nail the storytelling, because APOC's story was pretty cool, and the fact that we didn't have one this last time kind of really stunk.
Players would like to have since the Age of Apocalypse. And so this has given us a chance to really structure everything around the game events, around the content that we're serving up, around the way that we're really giving the game out to players in something that is narrative driven. And there's big functional elements, like you said. We will have currencies you're earning through playing the modes that you're already playing and enjoying, with really valuable things you can get with those currencies. Rotates on a quarterly basis. And so we're shifting a lot of things in the game into this new Ages mode, but it should be very much in your face that Age of Annihilus is the thing that you're doing right now, and everything is building towards that across the board.
Yeah, I think one of the things we've struggled with recently, right, is that kind of immersion, that sense of immersion that we're giving to our players.
I think one of the key things is, as we rebalance it, as we think about how to shift to this new system, is making sure no one feels any sense of loss. If you had currency balances, then you're still going to have the same.
I hope they keep that true for the stuff that is also going to the Intel store. We should not feel any sense of loss while also acquiring more G20. And if we don't have that, then they've made a mistake.
buying power in game with those that you always have. If there were things you like to purchase from the War store or the Crucible store, all those things are still available to you. So we're trying to be very careful that there's no sense of loss whatsoever. There's no way that you can feel like, oh, hey, this didn't work out well for me. And in addition to that, the new seasonal store ought to have prizes that you care about, rewards that you're interested in, so that playing the modes that we have, playing War, Crucible, Arena, Raids, anything, is going to translate into things you want. And so, yeah, looking forward to getting that changed.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with the way that we're trying to make pretty massive changes, right, to the way that the legendary characters are going to be rolled out. Each chapter being 3 months long, but a distribution of 810 plus shards of these legendary characters, only given out through engagement, no monetization attached to them whatsoever, so that all players, right, can go after and get kind of the best characters that we put into the game. I think also is going to be a really exciting thing that people should be really looking forward to.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. With the legendary characters, we tried something recently with Lilandra and made sure that people could go in and engage and earn a great character that way entirely by playing. And so we'll be doing that with the legendary characters leading up to Annihilus. But then, like you were saying, in the seasonal shop, any new character might be something you can chase pretty easily. And so it doesn't really pull you out of that sort of engagement loop.
I very much am worried about the new character thing. When they talk about putting new character shards in there, is that going to interrupt the bumps process? That is a question they have not answered, and I think that new character shards potentially could be traps. So I just want everyone to be aware of that, especially if it affects. If I'm thinking that our gear economy is about to get annihilated by Annihilus, um, that could be a very big one. So be very cautious on that. I'm very hesitant right now.
For going after things you care about.
I'm really excited about that change, and I know there's a ton of other things that we're still working out around kind of the ages and some of the structural stuff we're putting there. But I think there's also massive changes that you've.
It's wild that they're still working out the details when it's supposed to launch next week.
Put a lot of time into around War. You want to start talking a little bit about some of the War stuff we're thinking about?
Yeah, sure. We can move on to War. War is something that we've had a chance to talk to players, get a lot of feedback, look at the data that we have, and we've seen that over time, the commitment it takes to play War, how many hours a day that you need to get into it, if you're in a serious competitive alliance, has just really shot through the roof. And as we thought about that, that's not the experience we want people to have. We want it to feel like you're collaborating with your alliance, you're playing together, you're making interesting decisions at a high level, but then everyone's going out and sort of doing what they need to do individually. And what we found instead is, because of the way we run our efficiency system in the War scoring, that players feel like the War captain has to really go and tell them all of the attacks to do, because even one missed attack can lose you the war. And so it's a tough experience on War captains, and it's less fun for you as a player because someone's telling you everything you should do, which is rough. So we're looking at some big War changes now, and those center around shifting the strategy for War to a higher level, so that people are talking in their alliance, collaborating about how do you attack the enemy base, what rooms do you want to go through, what order do you want to attack them, and moving that focus away from the individual battles, where people feel like they can't fail even one of those battles. So some of the things we're doing there are going to be adding more interest in room rules, so it matters which rooms you pick in which order to attack, making more impactful choices in the decisions around what rooms do you want to score in, what rooms do you want to place your boosts in, just making sure all of the decisions above the individual battles really matter to players to make that a mode that feels replayable and not like the same War every week.
Yeah.
So I didn't hear anything that actually fixes War. Right now, War is so few teams actually matter on defense that if you drop an attack, it feels like you absolutely let your team down, and that feels terrible because you're not creating this cushion for you to be able to drop an attack. Um, and that's because they haven't printed a defense team in like 8-9 months. Like, I don't know what they're doing. There's nothing that holds on defense. Not even the mythic characters are holding on defense. That's the problem with the game right now, is we have no theory crafting, we have no depth. There's nothing that matters at all. It's just throw XY counter at room, watch it get obliterated in 3 seconds, and move on to the next one. You win by being more geared than your opponent, and that feels terrible. It's creating less engagement overall, and even if they make better room rules and better make the, boosting matter and that kind of stuff, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it being enough to make us feel better about how the game's being played. The game needs serious attention from the offense, defense, and balance standpoint, which is partially getting rid of overpower. But let's keep going. I'm gonna make this video way too long.
I think the kind of collaboration part that you touched on is the big thing for me in terms of allowing alliances to try and figure out what do they want to do together rather than being micromanaged on the attacks per attack.
Sure.
That doesn't sound very fun, and yeah, I think some of the things that you've outlined as the goals for the changes, I think are going to be really positive. And I know we're also looking at Battle World. And there was a lot of critical feedback. There was some positive feedback when we released that mode. And I know we learned a lot, kind of what you were saying, right? Talking to our players and looking at the data. I know that's another one that we want to try and find some time development resources against before the next one comes out in September. How are we thinking about trying to update that mode?
So our next Battle World's coming out in September. New boss, new mechanics. We'll be updating a lot of things that were pain points the first time around. If you're in a less engaged alliance or maybe not a full alliance.
So the entire mode? There wasn't a whole lot of good about Battle World. I'm just being honest, guys. The only thing that was fun was the null fight, and they ruined it. So, and it's still not good. So, I'll be curious to see what they do with the 2.0.
You'll still be able to make progress day to day. You won't feel like you're stuck in zone 1, for instance. Be looking at special operations, making sure that those are a little more of an interesting puzzle that you want to go through each day and figure out, hey, how do I best collaborate with people on this one?
It needs to be a lot more of an interesting puzzle because Spec Ops were just a spreadsheet simulator. It was terrible.
Yeah, like I said, that new boss. I don't know if it's
yeah. I mean, I always spoil everything, right? So
yeah.
I always tease or give out the info. If you want to give out the info, give it out. Tell them.
Well, and this next boss will be Sentry in Battle World, and Sentry's
I'm glad they said that because I was under the impression it could have been Malice, and I think Sentry will be really cool. I'm excited to see how they do him.
A big deal, very interesting character, and we're starting to work on it already.
Yeah, Sentry is one of my favorite Marvel characters. I mean, he's coming into the Thunderbolt, so he'll be in the MCU, and I think with our team and what we can do on the animation side and the VFX side, and having the Sentry and the Void, and hopefully we can create some really cool dynamics there. I'm really pumped up and excited to see him come into the game. Yeah, I think for us, right, you and I have talked a lot about it, which is as the game matures, we've kind of painted ourselves into corners at times, right, where we put out a solution that we think helps all player types. And a lot of the times it doesn't, right? It doesn't work that way. And I think Battle World is that perfect example of us learning a lot from what we could do, what we wanted the mode to do, what we thought it was going to do, and then it did a lot of the complete opposite things that we actually thought it was going to do. And so, yeah, I know we're trying to look at how do we get away from that one size fits all. Then I think you also touched a little bit on kind of Spec Ops, which was one of those things that we didn't necessarily think was going to kind of hit us the way that it did. We always just figured people would just kind of randomly throw some characters in there, but then it became another chore kind of for alliance management to kind of figure out who's putting which characters into which slots. So how are you thinking of kind of Spec Ops in terms of removing these layers of just kind of an overhead that we are putting on players?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think all of the features we're looking at right now, when we're figuring out what kind of gameplay we put in them,
I'm amazed that they thought Spec Ops would work any way different. People min-max in the gaming industry as a whole these days. So to think that we wouldn't spreadsheet it and do all that stuff and go through the work that we did, I think is kind of clueless, if I'm being honest.
We really think about how are you playing it. Is it something that you're just trying to do quickly each day? Like raids are a check-it. Raids aren't supposed to be deeply thoughtful experience. But if it's something new, something like a Battle World, it wants to be interesting puzzle, an interesting thing that you'll do day over day and think, oh, I'm glad I'm going to try something new this time. In a lot of cases, that's something different people might think a different strategy is good. It's not like there's an obvious one way to win this. And so we need to get that kind of gameplay and replay in there. And replay is a big factor in what we're going to try to do going forward. And so I don't have an exact answer for what Spec Ops is going to be, but I know that for it to be good and something we want to ship, it needs to be engaging and something you look forward to doing. Maybe something you'd do if there wasn't a reward attached to it. Not forever, because I know rewards are a big deal, but you might go, hey, this is actually fun. I wouldn't mind doing this again tomorrow.
Agreed.
Probably worth talking about roguelike a little bit as far as something that's sort of customizable. One thing, just tying it back to the not one size fits all. Going into that, there's a difficulty setting, so you can tune it up, tune it down, so you can get something much like Scourges that suit your ability. But it should be an exciting mode, and again, very replayable.
I'm personally super excited about roguelike. I don't want to speak on your behalf, but I would say it's probably the thing you're most excited about that we're getting out this year, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it represents a real difference in how we develop. Battle World was something we worked on for 2 years, and we put it out there and said, hey, I hope this works. And it had its pros and cons, but it didn't really work as well as the development methods we'd like. So with roguelike mode, we're doing a rapid prototype in-house. We're getting lots of player feedback along the way. We're expecting to put that out in the world for people to play with in a way that we can easily expand, tune, tweak going forward. And that's...
I'm so glad they're getting it out fast because this game needs a huge change, and I'm hoping this mode's it. I hope they don't lock it behind doors and everything else. We'll see what they do.
More of the mode we want to be in. That's the excitement of a live game, right? You can connect with the community, you can put something out in front of them, you can hear what they think, and make it better.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a lot of players out there still that I don't know if they necessarily know what roguelike or roguelite modes are. Do you want to kind of just quickly touch on what these game modes are?
Yeah. But working your way, you're getting some different choices along the way. Each time you go through that map, it'll be a little bit different. The end generation for the first time, so you're not seeing the same waves over and over again. But along the way, there's also combat mods and other things that you'll get. And so each run, you have a little bit different character roster to play with. You have a little bit different enemy challenges to play with. You have a different set of maps and things to do along the way. We're trying to get that to be quick battles, one wave of enemies each. You should be able to do a whole playthrough of this run in 30 minutes, and it's built to be replayable and fun again. So that's why I'm excited about it.
I'm excited about the procedurally generated kind of combat as well, right? Where we're going to be looking at a lot of the data in War, Cosmic Crucible, understanding what teams people are using and some of those combinations. And then we're going to start to throw those out there into roguelike. And so it's going to give you, to your point, right, some really choices that you're going to have to make around kind of, do I want to level up my characters and the teams that I'm coming in with, or which buffs do I get? What there's just a lot of randomness, I guess, right? Which we don't have in the game today because everything's pretty static at this point. And this, I think, is going to be so refreshing to players, as you kind of touched on, right? A new way to play with all these characters that you love in ways that you've never been able to before. And so, yeah, it's one of those things that I definitely am. I'm really looking forward to it getting out. And as you kind of touched on, I think Battle World, again, we learned so many lessons, 2 years of development, threw it out there, and then it didn't do what we actually thought it would do and what we wanted it to do. And so, yeah, I think that kind of rapid development that we're trying to do now and get things into players' hands, try and get a lot more feedback through playtests with the player council, a lot of our content creators and just players in general also is going to be beneficial to us. And so, yeah, I'm really, really excited for this. And then I know this is kind of what we're calling, the MVP of it. Once it's in the players' hands, then we're going to really see what other development we want to put against it.
Yeah, there's a lot to continue growing there. I think that's a good way for us to develop in the future, is putting something out there that we've built to be extensible, that we go, hey, this is the part players are liking about it, let's do some more of that. Touching again on the procedural combats, that ought to be something we can really roll out into other modes of the game also, because right now we've got a really capable creative team of missions designers, but it takes a while to make content. And most days we talk about, we could use 5 times as much content if we could get it. So we're using PvP defense teams as the basis for the roguelike, but we also expect we can expand this into just all sorts of interesting teams.
That's cool that they're using defense teams, because what that kind of hopefully will teach people is some of the defensive benefits of some of these defense teams and the counters that go with it. It should overall help them broaden the players' knowledge of the game, which would be cool.
Combinations. We've got the missions designers making interesting pairings. These characters go well together. These characters make an interesting puzzle for play. And then how do we use procedure to make those into just more content for people to play? So this won't replace the high-end content, the very puzzly content, things like Dark Dimensions or Scourges. But for a lot of things like showcases, we can just put out great content more quickly for people. And I think that'll help us in a lot of ways.
I agree. I mean, I think you touched a little bit on it, is what we learned from the Age of Apocalypse. There were so many positive things and kind of the way that we had set up that arc, but then there was also some things that we learned that probably weren't great on the player side, right? In terms of, I must build this team to unlock this legendary that maybe I didn't necessarily want to build up. And I think those are some of the positive things that this one is actually trying to avoid it very intentionally.
Yeah, moving into Age of Annihilus, you mentioned earlier that there will be a number of legendaries lead up to Annihilus.
They talk about this, but they have not walked the walk. They released the Xavier trial, and they absolutely prescribed teams without us having any option. They said they didn't. They made rules that didn't, and then they put in the game files that the buffs are active without telling us. They activated war modes for Liberty. They activated Silver Sable's ult to work without her full team. This is flat out just a lie. They have not listened to that feedback. They also locked how we could go through the Xavier trial so that we couldn't select the sections we wanted to do. We had to do them in order. And I think that they say nice things here, but they didn't listen. They didn't even do it in the current game mode. So what are they doing?
Annihilus himself, and that you'll get those through engagement. So maybe a question that people might have is, what does that mean for Scourges? You used to get your legendary through Scourges. How do those fit in the picture?
Yeah, so the way I think I'm thinking about it right now is that Scourges, we love Scourges, right? I think that's one of those modes where, depending on you and kind of the puzzle you want to put together and kind of the points that you're trying to go after, you can make that puzzle really hard and you can make it kind of easy, and depending on the difficulty selecting that you have there. And so we know we want to continue to leverage and lean on scourges. So the way we're thinking about it is that the red stars will be acquired through a scourge. And those red star scourges would pop, say, once a month, right? So again, in this 3-month chapter, say month 1, we're going to pop a scourge and maybe get 1 to 2 or 3 red stars of this legendary character because you're starting to power up that character. And then in month 2, maybe you're getting the 3 to 4 or 5 range, right? And then by month 3, you're actually can get the 7th red star. And I think that also will keep scourges around, and then we can make sure that you're playing basically a scourge, a newer scourge.
That kind of scares me a little, because what that could mean is you get 1 star because you're a mid-tier player or whatever. You're not the top 100 player. In month 1, you could get less than 3 on month 2. Like, when they put a range like that, it makes me think it's still a leaderboard. And then in which case, you don't get the full character, not even on month 3. It's more like month 6 or 7. Everything they're doing feels very non-player friendly.
Scourge once a month, right? And I think that's something that I know for me, I love scourges. I would be super excited for.
Yeah, I bet everyone would be excited because they'll get the great character by default from just playing the game and then get a chance to power up through scourges. So I think it's something I'm excited to see how that, again, players receive it.
Yeah, same.
This is the first live game I've worked on where there's never a shortage of ideas. Sometimes you work on a game and it's like, oh, what should we do? We've got plenty of bandwidth. What should we do next month? But this one's always got 300 good ideas that you'll look at and go, oh, players would love this. This would be good for the game.
300 good ideas, and yet somehow we got overpower. What did we do wrong, guys? Because overpower surely wasn't a good idea. What happened to the good ideas? Please tell me.
And so we're just always kind of stuck by how much we can build at a time. And it's a good problem to have, but I wish we build a little faster.
I totally agree. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, Rich, to chat about the roadmap with me.
It was super cool hearing this interview. Again, I want to reiterate, I would be so much more excited about this because I said nothing but good things in this if we weren't in the position the game was currently in. And because of that, it's just tone deaf. Like, they need to address what's going on currently in the game, then put out the new and exciting information for us to get excited and hyped about, instead of releasing this stuff hoping we're going to forget, because it's obviously we're not forgetting. The game's in the worst state it's ever been in, and I'm afraid they're killing their game before they even get to the new and exciting stuff. They're doing so many, and I don't know who it is that's doing it, because it doesn't feel like it's the developers. Is it the ones that are monetizing the game? Is it, what's going on, guys? What is going on behind the scenes? Is it the production company? This is me not understanding the gaming industry, but what's making these decisions that's making the game horrible versus what these guys want to do? Because everything they say sounds great. Let me know what you guys think. Am I too negative on this? Am I too upset about the current game? Are you excited about the future content? Are you happy with the current game? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. If you like these kind of videos, come thumbs up the video, come like and subscribe. Come tell me everything you think about this stuff. See you soon.